Really? Could the Nvidia story last for years, where we go to infinity and beyond? Well, at least one analyst thinks we can get to 10 trillion in an article we talked about during WWDC. And now we hear from Steve Eisman, who's telling us that the Nvidia story could last for years. You might recognize him. Why? He's the guy from The Big Short, the guy that Steve Carell played, or the guy from The Office you might recognize. But first, we have some skeptics, and they're telling us that the bigger they are, the harder they fall. Well, that'll be particularly important. So if Nvidia is going to truly go to infinity and beyond, we're going to have a big test here on Friday because we're going to see whether or not we get a hollow candle. Is it going to pass or is it going to fail? Remember, that's what we looked for the last time we got a bullish signal, that we were going to get an expansion. And as of right now, we do have a hollow candle, even if it's red. So what does that mean? If we close green tomorrow, we're going to be closing with a hollow candle. Then we're looking to see whether or not we get a failed breakdown, but that gets a little bit more complicated. So let's just pick up on the story and make things a little bit simple. We'll come back and look at some charts a little bit later in the show. But a quick note that we're going to be closing both weekly charts tomorrow and also monthly charts. So please remember, this is particularly important. All right, now let's jump in because we got a lot to go through. So people are skeptical of Nvidia. Great. Likely means we have more fuel to the upside. How the hell are we going to get to 10 trillion unless we find more buyers? Exactly. We need more buyers. But first, we got old fart number 1 and old fart number 2 debating tonight. You guys seem to like that, so I'm saying it again today. I'm not sure what these guys are going to talk about, but over the course of 90 minutes, they're likely going to have some interesting sound bites. And we'll come back and talk about that tomorrow. But whoa, what about the economic data? Well, exactly. Sorry, Jerome. I almost forgot. Today, we got a revision to GDP, which shows that the economy was actually stronger than what we thought during the initial print. But the number in focus for tomorrow is going to be core PCE, which comes out at 8:30 a.m. And remember, I mentioned I think that this will be a bullish catalyst. So, all right, Jerome, settle down there, right? We'll get to the data tomorrow. But this will be particularly important because, like I said, wherever we close tomorrow is going to be very, very important for me. I think the monthly chart's going to close out bullish regardless, but these weekly charts, I'm a little bit less sure about. The market's been very volatile. And look at this, into the last minute of buying today. Oh my God, it's like someone forgot to hit buy until the very last minute. That's how the market went green. It was in one single minute. All right, so let's go through and find out a little bit more about the story. All right, there we go. Let's listen to Steve Eisman and see what he has to say. Again, this is the guy from The Big Short. He's pretty smart.
Is the huge swing in Nvidia shares a sign of market fragility or actually market strength, as Danny pointed out, given the fact that we're not seeing some broader retrenchment?
I mean, if you look at the chart on Nvidia, you can barely see the correction. So, I mean, you know, on a percentage basis, it's down something like 10%, but you have to like peer really, really carefully at the chart to see that move. So I don't think it means anything.
There is this issue, though. How do you even understand the valuations at a certain point? How do you even understand how much future profits are you actually factoring in? I understand the idea of being bullish on AI, but how do you understand when it's so fully valued that you're jumping on a train that's so overpriced?
I absolutely never do. I just don't know. I mean, and I'll take the converse to it, which is, you know, one of the things I learned running a hedge fund is that shorting a stock solely because of valuation is a death wish. I made that up too, by the way.
That's great. Trademark.
But what I mean by that is, you know, you go short a stock because you think the valuation is insane, but your entire thesis just, it's very expensive. The people who own that stock know it's expensive, but they're buying into a story. And as long as the story is intact, like Nvidia is obviously intact, the story is going to continue. So you have to have, when you short something, not just that it's expensive, it's that the story is going to break. And as far as I can tell, the Nvidia story is going to last for years. So, you know, I don't think all that much about the valuation of Nvidia.
Ooh, a pretty interesting take, right? So I'm going to go through and try to piece together a little bit of what he said to show you what I can see. All right, so the first thing I noticed is that he said that you can barely see the move lower on the chart. I would agree. You can barely see it. We look at a 5-year chart, you're like, what correction? Oh my God, it's so scary. Even here, you barely see it. He was making fun of it. But before we go further, I'm going to ask you for a huge favor. If you could please consider smashing that thumbs up or subscribing to the channel, that would be greatly appreciated. The next thing you talked about was the story. And right now, if it's 1995, hey, we got room to grow. Valuations are at 30.8 today. They can grow to 55 or nearly double. And here's some interesting takes on AI. Enterprise spending on generative AI plans to buy within the next 6 months. Yes, 2/3 of enterprises plan to spend in the next 2 months. Only 8% say no, and 28% say they have not decided yet. Seems like there might be more to the story here. And which is more true about generative AI at your company? Approved by company policy. 6 out of 10 companies. 20% have outside restrictions, and blah, blah, blah. But anyways, what this really means is that the story can continue to go. And that's exactly what he's told us. And now, if we look at this next image here, we're going to look at a forward PE for the S&P 500. So if you think that Nvidia is expensive, which it is, anything typically above 30 means that it's expensive. But remember, growth stocks or the Magnificent Seven command a premium because they're growing. And if you think Nvidia is expensive, well, then so is Microsoft, Amazon. Tesla's very expensive then. So is Eli Lilly. By the way, these are the hottest stories in the market. So I don't personally think we are overvalued right now, but some people do. And this is great. Nvidia's explosive growth masks AI disillusionment. Does anyone in Silicon Valley know the saying, the bigger they are, the harder they fall? Because it's just a matter of time before they will. Tech company leaders should be wincing at the rapid ascension of Nvidia stock. Whoa. Wow, they seem a little bit upset. Seems like they might not be in the stonk, or they might be a little bit short. So now let's look at a few charts, because this is all I really care about into the close of the month. I don't really care what these two guys have to say. I care more about the reaction to the news, as Jerome Powell would say, the economic data. So for Nvidia, like I said, if we close green tomorrow, I want to see if we can recapture last week's low at 124.3 to give us a failed breakdown. I would quite like that. On the monthly, I would argue we're going to close bullish because we're closing over the previous candle high, but we do have some signs of exhaustion, just like we did last time. Why? Massive upper wick. So watch for that. If we pop over here to SPY on the weekly chart, there's nothing to see here. Another hollow candle. We have an inside bar. We're at the high of the month. Bullish. Okay. On the monthly, very bullish too. Way over resistance, set to close at a record high. So we're going to close bullish. It's a matter of how bullish. And then finally, QQQ. This is the one that I was less sure about, and the pattern I would like to see develop over on Nvidia, a failed breakdown. Hollow candle, and yes, I know hollow candles are a little bit harder to see, but it gives us an extra data point that we're actually expanding, closing higher than we opened. So failed breakdown, this looks good. And then here on the monthly, like I said, we're over the previous candle high in record territory like SPY. We're going to be closing bullish. It's a matter of how bullish. So whether we get a big pump or a big dump, the weekly charts are where we want to focus, and notably on Nvidia, because it is push-pulling the market. All right, that's it for today's show. So maybe you want to click on the left to watch another one, or subscribe and hang out with me at 9:15 a.m. tomorrow. Thanks so much.